Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all in the live virtual classes of Paper 3 CA Final, Advanced Auditing Assurance and Professional Ethics. So I hope you all are getting benefit from these classes and you all are revising side by side. As this is the fifth class of professional ethics and you have already read through what are the principles of auditor, what are the fundamental principles, what are the threats and safeguards of auditor. So I request all of you to please prepare your handwritten notes side by side and make do written practice of questions also side by side. As Harshad sir is also teaching you in class, he will also tell you how to write your answers in the examination. And today he is going to start with the second schedule of the class of the uh, act. So I request you all to please make your notes side by side because written practice in auditing is really very important. And don't think that auditing is a theoretical subject only. This is a practical subject. You all have done auditing in your articleship also. So please take this subject very seriously at final level at least. So I request Harsha sir to please start the session, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, students. Welcome to today's session. So, as ma'am said, like this is the fifth session. We have your notes will be the very important part that you will prepare with your this journey. These notes will definitely help you a day before exam. See, the target here is that you should understand what we are being, discussing in the class. You should learn and you should remember those things, and that can only happen once basically you take up your own notes, you go through with us, you read, and the guiding that we are providing about the practicing and everything. If you do all those things, trust me, you will be able to remember the subject. This is not a theory subject that just 3 months or 4 months before the exam you read, learn, you try to mug up and then try to answer anything whatever you have. It's not like that. It's a pretty easy subject, number one. Number two, it is practical subject, logical subject. So if you understand the things logically, if you understand the things practically, I don't think so that will any at any point in time there will be any issue. Okay. Plus, let's say today we are going to start with the second schedule. I would like to everyone, should that they should participate in the discussion, ask your doubts. Okay. And if you like, not even related to the second schedule, but you should ask your doubts whatever they are related to the first schedule, to any of the topic from the chapter 19. So don't keep your doubts with yourself only. Clear? Great. I hope everyone has gone through whatever we have discussed till now. So for the purpose of the quick recap, I will ask certain questions and then we can proceed. Okay. Okay. Can anyone tell me quickly what is clause 7 of part 1 of first schedule? Clause 7. Summary. I don't want detailed answer. Give me a summary. That's it. One liner, two liner summary. Quickly. Clause 7, part 1, first schedule.
Sorry, advertising is personal attainment or services.
Very good. Yes. Very good. Absolutely correct. If you advertise your professional attainments, like that will not be permissible. It should be within the guidelines. Whatever you are doing, it should be within the guidelines. There is one more, part of clause 7. There is one more thing in the clause 7. Can anyone tell me that? Yes, Geet, very good. Priya, there is one more particular part of the clause 7. There is one more point.
Uses designation other than a CA.
Absolutely correct. Very good. Yes. You use a designation other than a CA. Okay. Plus, there are certain recognized degrees which you can use. But if you use the designation other than those, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. Very good. So, can anyone tell me the conditions for applying for a tender under clause 6?
Sorry, if condition is given to that chartered accountant alone, the minimum fee should be there. If it is a condition, the tender is open for all the professional, the chartered accountant can participate.
Okay, very good. Okay, so it's a or and.
Or.
Okay.
See, if it is for the tender is only for the chartered accountant, then minimum fee should be there.
Yep.
Or if the tender is there, the minimum fees requirement is not applicable, but it should be for all the professional at the open.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Okay. So what about, can anyone tell me about clause 9? Clause 9, quickly, of part 1 first schedule.
Accept the appointment as auditor without checking that provisions contained section 131 to 141 of the Companies Act 2013.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Absolutely correct. Okay. Very good. Then, what is the clause 2 part 2 first schedule and to whom it is applicable?
Sir, it is applicable at the chartered accountant in prior services, but clause 2 is talk about the accept or agrees to accept any fees from the lawyer or CA or any broker during such employment.
Yes. So the purpose was that you should not accept any amount from anyone else, like, for the purpose of gratification or commission to provide them the services. Okay. So that was your part 2, clause 2, that is applicable to member in service. Now, then we discussed about the part 3, which is member in general. We discussed about the part 4. Can anyone tell me part 4, clause 1 of first schedule?
Sir, it is other misconduct in part 4. Class 1, it is applicable for member in general. If the person is an offense or the civil or criminal is less than 6 months, then the class 1 will applicable.
Okay. Very good. Yes. Yes. And that is the main important point, that it is other misconduct. Okay. Remember that. That is other misconduct, not the professional misconduct. Very good, everyone. Okay. So that we have discussed till your part 1. So, or first schedule, basically. Now we will start with second schedule. And first we will have the summary of the second schedule quickly, and then I will go into detail of discussion for each and every clause. But first we will take a summary, and trust me, when I will talk about the summary of second schedule, it will not take that much time. So clause 5 to clause, I would say in 10 in second schedule, straightforward, they are linked together. Okay. So let's go to the summary. We'll first prepare the summary and then we will proceed. Everyone, you should take the notes with me. Okay. Now, second schedule. Do not write numerical. Do not write Roman, something like that. That is not allowed, like this way. Second or second. No. These are not allowed. Okay. These are not something you should write it. Second schedule in words. That's it. Now, when I talk about second schedule, here the matters will be placed. Remember that here matters will be placed before disciplinary committee. Okay. That second scheduled matter will be placed before disciplinary committee. That is very important part that you need to remember. That's why it's a second. That's why there are two schedules. First, schedule, the matter will be placed before the board of discipline or disciplinary director. We will see that. Second, disciplinary committee will take care of the second schedule, the matters which are there for the second schedule. That's why you have the bifurcation between the schedules. Okay. Now coming to the part one. As we have part one, as we have part one in basically you can say that first schedule which is applicable to CA in practice. Similarly, we have part one over here, that is professional misconduct in relation to CA in practice. Okay, so you can write professional misconduct in relation to CA in practice. I'll zoom in a bit. Okay. Similarly, it is applicable to CA in practice over here. So now let's start with the clause. Clause 1. Can anyone quickly tell me what is clause 1?
Disclose the confidential information obtained during his audit through client.
Yes, absolutely correct. Very good. So what clause 1 says basically, clause 1 is pretty much simple. It talks about that, okay, if you disclose confidential information that you obtain, breach of confidentiality, fundamental principle. If there is a breach of fundamental principle, that is clause 1 will be applicable. Okay, so breach of confidentiality. Simple. Now, but there are again exceptions to this. Exceptions are pretty simple, straightforward. One is you already have the consent. So you have disclosed the confidentiality, you have disclosed the confidential information after consent of client. So you have the consent of client to disclose. Second, required by law. If these are the cases, then you can disclose the information. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot disclose the confidential information. Clear? Straightforward. No difficulty in that. Like if you disclose with consent, fine. If you disclose for law, fine. Otherwise, if you disclose confidential information, held guilty of professional misconduct under your part 1, so clause 1, part 1, second schedule. Simple. Now, quickly, clause 2. Can anyone tell me clause 2? Clause 2. No? Very important clause. Very important. Like we will discuss clause 2.
Sir, CA in practice certify or submit the report without he verify the same.
Yes. Yes, absolutely correct. So clause 2 talks about certifying or submitting the report unless he has done the examination. Remember, I discussed in the last time also that if you sign or certify without verifying, okay, then in that case, clause 2 will be applicable. But the clause, like, when part 1, we discussed about if you allow anyone to sign who is not either your partner or another CA in practice, then you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. But if another CA in practice who has not seen the report, who has not gone through the report, or who has not done the examination, if he does, then he will be held guilty. Now there are conditions to that. So you can say a continuation of that particular clause. Okay. So clause 2 basically talks about if you certify or submit in your name or in firm's name a report Okay, like you can say a audit report, any report of examination, whatever, unless, now this unless part basically is kind of an exception over here. Okay, I would say star mark and star mark over here, conditions apply. This is an exception, which is fine. Unless this examination is being made by the partner, it is made by the employee, or another CA in practice. If the examination is done by these people, if you are issuing, you can file. You can, certify or submit a report. Otherwise, you cannot. Okay. Basically, in summary, you can sign. Let's say, for example, if someone else has verified you, but he should be either your partner, he should be employee, or he should be another CA in practice. Clear? Any doubt to this? Any doubt? Okay. Clause 3. Anyone quickly? Clause 3.
Sir, if it is allowed to be signed like as an exception by another CA in practice, that means a chartered accountant of any other firm can certify on, suppose, on his behalf.
Okay. Now, very good question. Now, chartered accountant of any other firm can sign on any other works of chartered accountant, correct? That means over here, like you can you can understand from that point of view. See, what happens is here you can sign if someone else has verified. And why this particular provision is there? This particular provision, another CA in practice, is about SA 299. What is SA 299?
It's a joint auditors.
Yeah, absolutely. So in case of joint audit, if another auditor has gone through, so you are the signing partner, you can sign. Okay, because there's a joint auditor into the picture. That's why you have another CA in practice in this particular scenario. But when I talk about, like, if you have not seen anything, like here also, if I say that examination is done by another CA, but he has to provide you some input that the examination is done, you have to go and you have to see what examination has been done. That does not relieve you from your authority or your responsibility. Again, the responsibility comes with the one important standard. Whenever you sign, let's say in case of audit, there is a specific standard which places a responsibility on the engagement partner, which is that. Anyone? If you have gone through the study material, like there is a standard which says that there is a responsibility on a particular, on the engagement partner. Come on, quickly. You guys are, I think, not going through the study material.
So what is the question, sir? Please repeat.
Okay, there is a standard on auditing, essay. Okay, this essay basically place the requirement, ultimate responsibility on the auditor, on the engagement partner, that the partner who is signing is the ultimate responsible one. Even though whosoever done has whatever work, this partner will be responsible for everything.
Right, sir. Correct, sir.
So which is that standard? No? Okay, let me show you. Sorry. No, Mega. I'm not. No. So
You're talking about SA 200?
220.
220.
Okay. SA 220. Now, SA 220 has a specific point. I will show you. the first and foremost the point which is there in SA 220 in the requirement is this one, that the engagement partner shall take responsibility for the overall quality of each audit engagement to which that partner is assigned. The first and foremost responsibility of the leadership responsibility on the quality. And when I say overall quality, it includes all the things which is discussed in SA 220: independence, acceptance, continuance, assignment of teams, reviews, direction, supervision, everything, consultation, everything goes then on the requirement, or on the bucket of the engagement partner. Monitoring, documentation, everything is the responsibility of the engagement partner. Overall quality includes all the things. So when I talk about overall quality, like if any another CA is reviewing, but you are signing, you are the engagement partner. So SA 220 already is placing a requirement, boss, you have to review everything. Although there is a clause which says that, okay, another CA can review on your behalf and you can sign. But SA 220 does not relieve you from this particular requirement, that, okay, if someone else can see you, you close your eyes and then sign and go. No, it's not there. SA 220 plays a specific requirement on that. Clear? Now you may ask a question, sir, what if we don't follow SA 220? What will happen? Can anyone tell me what will happen if you don't follow the SA 220?
Definitely, our class 3 will attract, sir. Part 3 of the schedule 1 not be does not I think. I think let me think on it. There is a professional misconduct.
Okay, but apart from that also, there are clauses. I will come to that. So there is a clause where if you fail to follow these standards, I will discuss that particular clause in detail also. But as of now, remember that there is no going out of that particular standard. Like you have to follow. If you will not follow, even I will show you the clauses where you will get stuck.
Yes, sir. Class 1 is there, sir, on the part 2 of the second schedule. Contravenes any provision or regulations issued by the ICAI.
That is general. I have a more specific one. I'll tell you that also. Okay. So I hope it is clear, your question, that if any other CA signs on your behalf, like, reviews on your behalf, and if you just, blindly sign, SA 220 will get you.
Okay, sir.
This was for audit. Anyone without, like, if it is not audit, if it is another assurance engagement, then which standard will catch you? SA 220 is only applicable for audit. What about other type of engagement?
SQC1.
SQC1 is there.
Yes. So SQC1 is there for the other type of standards. Okay, great. So that is about the certifying or submitting a report unless partner, employee, other CA in practice has verified it. Now, clause 3. What is clause 3? Quickly. Clause 3.
Sir, whenever providing the forecast without vouching the accuracy, he provided the confirmation on that.
Yes, absolutely correct. Yes. So if you permit your name to be associated with or in connection with an estimate of earning, okay, and at the end, if it appears that you are vouching the accuracy of a forecast, in that case, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Now, tell me one thing. There is one standard again, which is talking about, this kind of particular engagements. Which is that standard? Like that talks about that you can actually, do assurance engagement on forecast, or you can do an assurance engagement on basically prospective financial information. We discussed also.
Sir, SCE 340.
Yes, absolutely correct. Examination of prospective financial information. Then the question should come that if we have a standard, then how the clause denies that? Yes or no? If we have a standard, then why clause is denying that?
No, sir. In that case, he is providing a compilation of the pro forma of the financial information on the prospectus based on the information provided, but he is not giving the any certificate. He is not providing any confirmation on it.
Yeah, somewhere yes and no both. Yes, yes. Anyone else? Anyone else is giving answer? Lavanya, you are giving answer? Okay.
In that case, he cannot provide a reasonable assurance.
He is only limited assurance only he is giving.
Okay. Now, so let me tell you what is the difference between your SAE and over here. Okay. Now, when I particularly talk about SAE, okay, what is the scenario in that is that it talks about examination of the prospective financial information. If you go through even the requirements in the SAE says that okay, auditor has to ascertain, not the auditor basically, it's a examiner, or you can say independent practitioner. Okay, he has to ascertain like whether the assumptions which are used are appropriate or inconsistent. Okay, if whether the you can say prospective financial information is somewhere based on those assumptions. Okay, and whether the prospective financial information is presented in a way it is not misleading based on the best estimate assumption and hypothetical assumptions. So there are things in that which is talks about the assumptions. No one says that okay, you have to go and vouch the accuracy of the assumptions, whether it's in best estimate assumption or hypothetical assumptions. The only concern and only requirement in that standard is whether they are not unreasonable. That is different. Accuracy of the forecast is different, and telling that it is not unreasonable is different. Okay, so SAE 3400 basically is onto the line where you are talking about okay, whether it appears to be that okay, the financial statement, prospective financial statement are based on the assumptions, and assumptions appears to be not unreasonable because first it is a limited assurance. That's why I say not unreasonable in a negative tone rather than saying it is reasonable. Okay, so I say not unreasonable. Number two, I say they are in align with or they are consistent with the purpose of information. So whatever for the purpose is there behind that financial statement, prospective financial statement, for that they are looking fine. But whether they are accurate, I don't know. That is not my part in SAE 3400. And that's why if you permit your name to be used with an estimate of earning, or it appears that you have vouched the accuracy of the forecast, you will be held guilty under clause 3, which is not required in SAE 3400. Clear? Any doubt? Yes, no? Okay. No? Okay. Let us write the clause basically. So, permit his name to be used with estimate of earnings. Okay, estimate of earnings, or it may happen that vouching of or sorry, not vouching, vouched the accuracy of forecast. If your name is being used in this way, that you are certifying the accuracy. Vouched means you can understand that certified. In other terms, you can say certified or certifying. Okay. So if you are certifying the accuracy of a forecast, you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Here, now in this particular scenario, okay, is there any exception? Answer is no. Because SAE 3400 is not an exception over here. Like you are not, allowed in any of the scenario to vouch the accuracy of the forecast. Okay. So that is something different. But there is a guidance note also that talks about how you can, certify or how you can issue reports on the prospectus. But that is something altogether a different scenario. That is altogether a different requirement. That is not something which is, kind of an exception to this particular clause. So this clause does not have any kind of exception. Okay. So clause 4 now. Anyone, what is clause 4?
Express the opinion when he or his firm or members, or when those person having the substantial interest of the particular business.
Yes, absolutely correct. Very good. So if you express an opinion on the FS, okay, on the FS of any business or any enterprise where you, your partner, your firm has a substantial interest, or your partner's firm has a substantial interest. Now, simple. Expressing opinion, as of now, you can write expressing opinion where substantially interested. Okay, simple as of now. Where substantially interested, you are expressing opinion on FS. That's it. So you will be held guilty, deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Any doubt? Straightforward. Nothing difficult over here. Okay. Now comes the next part. Now I will be taking up clause 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 together because they are linked. You can say they are directly linked. There is, like, when I will discuss, they are totally linked upon. Clause 5. What is clause 5?
Not disclosing material fact which is not disclosed in financial statement, but
Absolutely
which is known
correct.
to the CA.
Yes. If you do not disclose material fact which is known, okay, while making, like it was necessary while making such financial statement, deemed to be held guilty in professional misconduct. Now, here I will write only fail to disclose material fact. Okay. If you fail to disclose material facts, you will be held guilty of professional, deemed to be held guilty of misconduct. Clause 6. What is clause 6? Not gone through?
Fail to report like material misstatement.
Absolutely.
Something which is very big.
When he knows to him.
Fails to report material misstatement. Now, if you know material misstatement in financial statement, and if you fail to report, okay, you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Clause 7.
Does not exercise due diligence, sir. When
Yeah,
he
absolutely. Does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent. So if you does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent, in that case, clause 7 will attract. Clause 8.
when yeah, fail to obtain sufficient information when it is necessary for the expression of his opinion.
Opinion. Yes. So if you fail to obtain sufficient information, there is one more part to this, or the exceptions negate the expression of opinion. Okay. Or the exceptions taken negate the opinion. That means when you take some exceptions while issuing an opinion or expressing an opinion, those exceptions are of such nature that they are negating basically the whole opinion itself. For example, you in your audit report write that subject to the verification of all the assets, everything is true and fair. Okay. So your exceptions are of such nature that it is basically destroying your opinion. Like you say, subject to the verification of assets and liability, the books of account represents true and fair view. Subject to the assets and liability that you are not verified. Rest everything is fine. What kind of opinion is this? Your exception is altogether a very higher, that is destroying your opinion then. So either you fail to obtain sufficient information or your exceptions are such that they are negating the opinion. Clear? Okay. Clause 9. What is clause 9?
He failed to invite attention to any material departure from generally accepted procedure of audit.
Yes. Now, fail to invite. Fail to invite attention from material departure. Again, material departure of like generally accepted procedures of audit. Or you can say, sometimes we use gas also, the term that is generally accepted auditing standards. So if you there is a material departure from the generally accepted procedures of audit or generally accepted auditing standards, in that case you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Now if you see clause 529, if I talk about 529, it's nothing but disclose, if you fail to report, if you does not exercise, if you fail to obtain, if you fail to invite. These are the clauses. Like one starts with the fail to disclose material fact, fail to report material misstatement. If you do 5 or 6, if you are already stuck in the 5 and 6, 7 will directly come to you as a added advantage. Buy one get one free. Like clause 5, let's say if you have failed to disclose material fact, buy one get one, clause 7 will come behind it. Clause 6, clause 7 will come behind it. Because any which ways, if you are not reporting material misstatement, it can be held that you did not exercise due diligence or you are grossly negligent. Because in both of the 5 and 6, we are saying that knowingly you were aware about those material facts and material misstatements, still you did not report. Clause 8 basically talks about fails to obtain sufficient information. Again, clause 7 can come like buy one get one, and fail to invite. If you do not follow standard SA 220, if you do not mention that, fail to invite attention. And let's say, for example, if you somehow invite also the attention, let's say, for example, what I did is I did not follow SA 220. I did not follow SA 220. I wrote in my audit report that I was not able to follow for XYZ reason the SA 220. Clause 8 will be applicable. Because your exception itself is of such nature that it is, causing issue on your opinion. You are saying you are not able to maintain quality in the audit and still you say it's an opinion. So your exception is negating your opinion in that scenario. Yes, Ankit.
Yes, sir. I want to understand the meaning of word due diligence. Can you explain it with example?
Does not exercise due diligence. Okay. Due diligence here in terms means that whenever you go for audit or whenever you go for any assignment, professional skepticism, professional judgment, skepticism, these are some principles that you are required to follow. Okay. You are required to understand the information. So all these procedures, when I talk about professional judgment, skepticism, understanding the engagement, if you miss any of things, that means you have not exercised due diligence.
Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Any other doubt? Any other doubt? Sorry. Yes, no. No? Good to go? Okay. See, now, basically, if you look into this particular clause 5 to 9 arrangement, everywhere is something with respect to engagement only. It may be audit, it may be any, like any assurance engagement we are talking about. But here, what happens is you are missing. You are missing either to invite, to obtain, to disclose, to report. Okay. That's why these clause becomes very important to take care. Like when you are into audit, these may get attracted if it is not done appropriately. Okay, so there is basically, I would say, a easy way to learn I have for this particular part 3. These are the core auditing and reporting failures. I call it core auditing and reporting failures, 5 to 9. If I rearrange 5 to 9, it's kind of, let's say, quickly, it will be kind of, thing for easy to learn something I'm creating. Okay. Misstatement, which is your clause 6. Okay. Then you have evidence related thing. That is your clause 8, where you fail to obtain sufficient information. This, instead of information, I'm saying evidence as of now. Okay. So evidence, clause 8. Again, clause 5 talks about is fail to disclose material fact in your financial statement in FS. So as of now, I can say statement is not appropriately disclosed. Clause 5. Okay. Then standard, if you are not followed. Clause 9. And gross negligence. Clause 7. So kind of, you can say a bad report is a mess plus G. So why plus G? Reason because if any of the thing, let's say clause 5 to 9, if anywhere you are getting attracted, clause 6, clause 5, clause 8, clause 9, G might come behind you. clause 7, because it may happen you will also be classified as the gross negligent with that. Clear? So you can say it's a mess, plus you can get buy one get one G in that. A way to just remember if it is, if this helps you. Clear?
Yes, sir. It's useful, sir.
And if you want to learn quickly 2 and 3 over here, it's easy. It's easy that do not certify a forecast. So if I'll give you this term, don't certify forecast. So certify goes here, forecast goes on here. So 2, this is clause 2, clause 3 together. Don't certify forecast. And rest is like if you want to go 1, 9, 1, 4 and 10. Okay. Clause 1, confidentiality. Clause 4 is expressing opinion when you are substantially interested. So kind of interested. And clause 10, basically, we will discuss now. That is, can anyone tell me what is clause 10?
Is to keep money of his client other than the audit fees.
Absolutely correct. So fails to keep money of his client other than the remuneration or fees in a separate bank account. Or if you are not able to use the money for the purpose it was obtained, in that case you will be held guilty. So fail to keep money separate bank account, money of client in separate bank account. Okay. Now the exceptions are remuneration. Okay, if you receive remuneration, fees.
Remuneration fees, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I will also include here advance of fees. If these are the things received, fine. Otherwise, keep in separate bank account. Plus, over here, use for specific purpose within.
If not, yeah, reasonable time.
Yes.
If
Within,
not, if not, he has to return the money to the client.
you have to use within the for specific purpose within the reasonable time. Yes. Okay. So that is your clause 10, which is, I could say, it's very important about the money over here.
So for this, can you give one example, like use for a specific purpose?
For example, client gave you money to pay direct taxes, income tax. Now you were supposed to pay the first installment of the advance tax by 15th June. Yep. In that case, you did not pay. You kept the money in your own bank account. You did not use that for specific purpose. Now, the reasonable time is the due date of the first installment for the advance tax. If you did not pay by that particular time, then yes, you did not use it.
GST, TDS, advance tax,
Yes.
self-assessment
Also,
tax.
I think those will be paid with client accounts only, no? Means like income tax or GST. That should be paid from client account only, not from auditor account, no?
No, see what happens is, let's say for example, sometimes like I'll talk about. Usually we do not keep money. Usually we do not. But let's say for example, client is traveling outside India. They will not have access to the internet banking or to these banking facilities. That's why they may give you well in advance the money. Okay. As of now, they are not aware how much the tax amount will be because everything is into the calculation. And then once the calculations are done, then basically, you know how much amount is to be deposited. So that's why it may happen that they have given you the amount to keep with you. and pay whenever the calculations are final.
Yes, sir. Clear.
So if I talk about clause 10, 4, and 1, that is confidentiality. If I have to club, these are the other clauses. Clause 4 and clause 10. Confidentiality, interest, and money. Okay. You can kind of say it's the CIM. CIM talks about 1, 4, and 10. Confidentiality, interest, and money. So this is how you can group 1, 4, 10. Okay. Certify forecast, it's your 2 and 3. So if I talk about certify forecast, 2 and 3. Okay. And then mass plus G, it's your 5 to 9. Okay. That is 5 to 9. So this is how you can easily remember your whole part 1 of second schedule. Clear? Any doubt? I hope it is easy to remember for you now, the whole particular part, the 10 clauses that we discussed. Yes, no? Yes, okay. Any doubt with any of the clause? Any doubt with any of the requirement over here? Okay, great. If no doubts, great. Now let's continue the summary and let's prepare the summary for the rest of the part. There are two only left, and we need to discuss one more important point over there. Now we will discuss part 2. Can anyone tell me to whom part 2 will be applicable of second schedule?
Members generally, sir, for
Absolutely.
all.
So here we do not have member in service. Here it is member generally. Okay, it is applicable to members generally. So nothing with respect to the service in part 2, the way we have in first schedule. Clause 1. What is clause 1?
Contravenes any provisions or regulation or any guidelines issued by council
Yes.
or CA.
Yes. So contravention of any provision of this act, contravention of any regulation, guidelines issued by council. So act, regulation, guidelines. Okay. Contravention of act, regulation, or guidelines. In that case, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Clause 2. What is clause 2?
Disclosing material information to outsiders, being employee of company or auditor.
Yes,
Both.
very good. See, clause like we have seen confidentiality in part 1 that is applicable to CA in practice. Now we need to cover confidentiality for others. Okay. So you can say confidentiality for others. If there is a breach of confidentiality for others, like member in general, member in employment, okay, in that case, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, here specifically, they are talking about member or being an employee. So,
Being an employee of a company, a firm, a person, disclose confidential information.
yes. So here, like you don't have a separate part for the member in service, but you have a one specific clause which is applicable as an employee. Okay. So being employee, breach of confidentiality. What could be the exceptions here?
Sir, when the permitted by the employer and when the law is required to disclose that such information.
Very good. Permitted by employer. The way we have seen earlier, like we have obtained the consent, and second is required by the law. In that case, it is fine. Otherwise, not. Clause 3. Anyone?
Providing knowingly the false information to the institute and its related bodies,
Yes.
such as BOS, DC, Quality Review Board, Appellate Authority, like that.
Yes. So include any information or in statement, written form, which is knowing them to be false. If you issue any, provide any false information to institute and its authorities, gone. Provide false information to institute. I will write institute as of now. If I do not provide the information, then what will happen? If I do not provide the information, then what will happen?
Then also that does not supply the information asked by the institute. Then that Schedule 1, Part 3, Clause 2 will apply.
Absolutely correct. So if you do not provide the information, then clause 2 part 3 of schedule or first schedule basically will apply. If you provide false information, then clause 3 part 2 of second schedule will apply. So remember that. For your summary, no information and false information. There are two scenarios. No information, clause 2 part 3 first schedule. False information, clause 3 part 2 second schedule. Okay, this is a comparative analysis when you either don't provide the information required or you provide the false information to the institute. Only to the institute. Remember that. Why not others? Why not others?
Sir, for others, we have that again the first schedule, part 3, clause 3 is there. Whenever we are inviting any professional works, when we are advertising knowingly, whenever giving the false information, clause 6 and 7 of the first schedule.
Yes, clause 3, part 3 of first schedule. Okay, where you provide false information to others. So if you are providing false information to others, you are covered by clause 3. That's why I have written only to the institute. Otherwise, you have clause 3 for others. Yes, clear? Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, then tell me what is the clause 4?
Defalcates or embezzles money received from his professional capacity.
So if you basically defalcates or embezzle the money, means you kind of conduct a theft, fraud in your professional capacity. That money you are received in your professional capacity, not only in a practice but in professional capacity, can be employment, can be any professional capacity. So if you do that, you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Embezzles money received in professional capacity. Okay. Clear? Any doubt? Clause 5. Can anyone tell me clause 5?
No class 5, sir, only 4.
Okay. So, no clause 5. Great. How many of you say no clause 5?
I said no class.
Okay. But how many of you, have the same idea, like clause 5? There is no clause 5.
Earlier you had said that there is 5 clause, but in the books it is mentioned 4 only.
Okay. Anyone which says we have 5? No? Okay. So I am covering one amendment over here. Remember this. This is the amendment. That's why at that point in time I said there are 5. In book it is given 4 because there is a reason. It's not something mistake, I would say. It is for the purpose. Okay. Clause 5 basically talks about, if you go into the act, have you seen the act itself? So there are 5 clauses in the act. CA Act I'm talking about. Schedule, it has a 5th clause also that acts as an auditor of the company, okay, in contravention of the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. Here, if you contravene, like if you act as an auditor of the company by contravening the provisions, in that case, you will be held guilty of clause 5, part 2, second schedule. I will say it's not there, sir, in the books. It's not there. Correct?
Yes, sir. Just I opened the act. It is there, sir. Actually, it's inserted from
Now I'll tell you the reason,
2022.
because it was with effect from, like it was added by a particular amendment, but it takes time, gets into the effect, then adopted in the code of ethics, then coming into the like it takes the journey. Plus we have already covered this particular part in first schedule also. Yes or no? We have covered this in first schedule or not?
Yes, sir. First schedule we have that section class number 9 is there. Section.
Absolutely correct. If you accept the appointment as an auditor of the company without first ascertaining whether the requirements of section 139, 140 and others have been complied or not, in that case you are already going to be guilty of professional misconduct.
But that is only respect to only 3 sections. But it's talk about is full provisions.
Correct. So
It's
basically, see what happens is, now if you see as an auditor, if you act as an auditor in the contravention basically of the provisions. Now, which are the provisions which are applicable to the auditor? Conduct of the auditor. 139 to 141. 143 is something like 143, any which ways 144 is there. We have discussed 144 is part of 140. Okay. 144 is already a part of 141 that you will be disqualified if you provide any service in under 144. So that is already part of 141. 143 is reporting. Apart from that, tell me a provision which is applicable to auditor. So we have covered 139, 140, 141, 144 already in the clause 9. 143 is something about the reporting, what you need to report in your audit report. It is not on the conduct. Is there any other clause or provision in the Companies Act which is applicable to auditors? I'm not talking about basically the penalties. There is a particular clause for the penalty, but I'm not talking about that. Are you getting the point?
Is it about fraud reporting?
No. It's not about fraud reporting. It's a more extended version of, you can say, of clause 9. It's not something you can say different from the clause 9. It is the extended version. Now, why extended version is required? Clause 9 talks about the appointment. Without ascertaining the requirements of 139 to 141, if you accept the appointment, gone. What if after acceptance the appointment?
Yes, sir. We have the Caro report. In Caro report, there are so many provisions with respect to Companies Act covering deposit, loan
No.
repayment. All
See,
these things are also there.
correct. But I'm talking about the conduct. Let's say you got appointed as an auditor. At that time, everything was fine. You were complied with to 139 to 141. But let's say later on during the year, you attracted a disability under 141. Clause 9 will not cover because at the time of acceptance in the appointment, you verified, you are complied. Yes or no? Clause 9 will attract in that scenario.
Yes, sir. It will attract.
That after accepting the appointment during the being auditor, like you are already auditor, mid of the year, you attract disability. Clause 9 will attract.
Then we have the disqualification clauses we have separately.
In Companies Act, but whether in, I'm talking about now for the schedules, is there any clause for that in schedule as of now? Companies Act is separate. Yes, there is a section in Companies Act. Disqualification 141 will be eligible, disqualified, and if you do not report, there are punishment under 147. That is there in the Companies Act. But as of now, tell me, during the audit, if you attract any disqualification, if you do not report, will clause 9 apply?
No, sir. It's not talking anything about that.
That's where clause 5 comes into the picture. This acts is not only at appointment. Remember that. This is not only at appointment. It is beyond, like, continuing, acts as an auditor till the time you are auditor, till the time either new auditor is appointed, right? You are retiring. So till your retirement, if you do anything in contravention of the provisions of the Companies Act, clause 5 will be applicable. So that is the difference between 9 and 5. 9 talks about the starting point, whereas 5 talks about continuation. Like after getting appointed, if you still do something later on, if you during the phase of audit before retiring, if you do anything in contravention to the Companies Act, to the provisions of the Companies Act, clause 5 will there. Clear? Any doubt?
Any idea, sir, when this clause will be applicable?
like the separate, I think the material will be there for you guys. It will be released. This will be applicable for your attempt.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But if anything, like you will be more hearing about this particular clause from the 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 like board of studies only. The ma'am will be there, and everyone will provide you that information. So you just
Uh,
you will get
uh,
an update on that.
yeah. Announcement will be there generally.
Yes, yes,
What are the
yes,
things?
yes, yes. Okay, that's why I said like it's not a mistake. It takes time. Like there is a process. Once the process is complete, then only it gets reflected. You have to adopt. Okay. Now that these are the clause, this was the clause 5. Now coming to the next part, that is part 3. Part 3, other misconduct
Yes, sir.
for members in generally. Other misconducts member in general, there is only one clause, rather not even a clause, I would say. Okay. There is only one particular information in that part 3. You can say clause 1 or the only clause which is there. What is that?
Guilty of any civil or criminal offense, punishment is greater than 6 months.
Absolutely correct. So remember, we discussed this particular clause like when we discussed about in the last schedule, guilty by court with term less than 6 months. That was covered by first schedule. Now here,
Part 4.
yeah, guilty by court with term greater than 6 months. Greater than 6 months will be covered by your second schedule.
There, part 4, first schedule, first class, other misconduct. Here also other misconduct, second schedule,
Yes,
part 3.
yes. Guilty of offense by court, term greater than 6 months. Simple. It will be other misconduct part 3. Okay. Clause 1 part 3, second schedule. This was the summary of your second schedule. Whole summary that we discussed. I hope you have taken this summary, you have noted down this summary with me. Yes or no? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what we will do is, if you do you have any doubts as of now? Anyone, any doubts?
Sir, members in generally means like members in practice and members in service both, na?
Irrespective, like if you are a member, you are these things will get attracted. Irrespective, whether you are in practice, whether you are in service, whether you are not doing anything.
Okay, sir.
I am a member. I am, let's say, for example, I am a member. I am an author also. I'm writing the books. I'm author. I'm a member, but I'm an author. Like basically, I write books. In that case, if any of the part of the clause is applicable to me, I'm gone. Okay. So let's go and understand clause by clause with examples in detail your second schedule. Now, this was only summary. We'll go and do a deeper dive of each and every clause in detail so that you guys can understand the practical things inside the clause. For that, what we will refer to our study material. Okay. Everyone, come to page number. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Page number, it's on the 19.90. 19.90. So you have a 8.2 which talks about second schedule. That's the start of your second schedule over here. And this is part 1. As discussed about the first clause, that you disclose the information. That's a breach of confidentiality. Okay. Disclose the information that you have acquired in the course of professional engagement to any person other than the client. So engaging and without his consent or without required by law, in that case, you will be held guilty of deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Remember, the first clause was breach of confidentiality. If you breach the confidentiality, if you disclose the confidential information, in that case, you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, remember one thing. Although in summary, I have specified breach of confidentiality. Okay, breach of confidentiality. The clause does not use the word confidential information. So the clause uses the word information, discloses information. That means it may be confidential. Okay, it may be, like not that much confidential, but it is not public information basically. Okay, so it is talking about information which is not public. Now, what level of confidentiality is there? Like it may be confidential, it may be sensitive, it may be normal information, but it is not public. So disclosing information that you have acquired in your professional engagement, that you acquired during the course of professional engagement to any person other than his client. Now, if you disclose to client, that is fine. Client is fine, not an issue. Or with if you disclose to the client, it's fine. If you disclose without the consent, then it is not fine. So if you disclose with consent, then it's okay. Or if you disclose with law, then it's also okay. So basically, the client, consent of the client with consent of the client and required by law. If you disclose in these scenarios, then it is fine. Otherwise, it's not. Okay. And we are talking about information, disclosing information acquired in the professional engagement. If you have acquired any information not during your professional engagement, in that case, this clause will not be applicable. Remember that. This clause will be applicable if you have acquired during your professional engagement. Let's say, for example, I was not associated with that client in any of the capacity. I got information online, publicly, or someone sent me an email. In that case, I discussed with something like, okay, I received these kind of email and I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't know that particular person, that is client. In that case, this clause is not applicable. Okay. So let's say, for example, I'll give you a scenario where, let's say you received an email that before, let's say, quarterly result, you got an email that this company is going to post a very good amount of profit this quarter. Please buy. Well, you get emails like buy this stock at this price, buy this stock, this kind of things. You got an email that, okay, this company is going to post a very good amount of profit, then buy. You discuss with someone. Now, this information is not something you acquired during your professional engagement. You just received an information, you discuss with someone, that is not, clause 1 will not be applicable in that particular scenario. Remember that. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now coming to very important part over here is this. Okay, let's talk about disclosing the information. Now, if I receive the information during the course of audit, if I cannot disclose that information without the consent of client, without being required by law or to any other person other than client. What about my group auditor? Let's say I am the auditor of subsidiary. Group auditor has asked me share with me the working papers. Can I share the working papers with him?
Yes, sir. Obviously, he can share with them.
Is it required by law?
Yes, sir. During the consultation also, whenever he is asking that, suppose that component auditor has to be give the confidential information to him. It is not the breach of confidential.
So my question is sharing of audit working papers required by law?
No, sir. It's not required. It's a asset of the auditor. He has to possess with him the working papers.
Then am I required to share mandatorily?
No, sir. It's not mandatory.
Then what about the SA 600?
SAC whenever there is a using the work of other auditor, see that time he can share it. Well, there are some exceptions are there. Only those area he can share with the auditors. When that subsidiary company, which means the component audited by the different auditor, when he need some clarification or information, that time he can share with the principal auditor.
Okay. Now I will take you to SA 600 for a time being. Okay, for time being, I'll take you to the SA 600 that is using work of another auditor. Now, when I talk about SA 600, okay, remember what SA 600 talks about? SA 600 talks about getting the information. As in principal auditor, it talks about you need to have some information, then you need to get that information. But wait. I'll just zoom in for you guys. So SA 600 basically talks about that. Okay, if you need information, then in that case you need to ask for the information. Okay, it's about the information, not about the working papers. So there is a specific point to that particular area. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So in principle, yep. Just give me a minute. Yeah. If I talk about a few points in this, basically, if you see, okay, it talks about that financial information, concluded financial information. It talks about financial information everywhere. If you go through that particular SA 600 also, it talks about financial information. That information, not the audit working papers. Nowhere in this particular SA 600 we have specified audit working papers. No. We have only specified the information. If you need information, you can ask information from the component auditor. And plus, it says that responsibility is on the principal auditor for the appropriate audit evidence. That means he has to perform that particular engagement. He has to gather that information. It's not something he has to take the working papers of the component auditor. Okay. So, like a lot of places, if you'll go SA 600, it will only talk about information. It never talks about working papers. In that, like if I apply that in that way, like it also says that you may obtain information through questionnaire or checklist. Okay, it says that you need to obtain information through questionnaire or checklist. Fine. Whether it has been used working papers, answer is no. So that's why if I take that particular concept over here, if I disclose the information which is there in the working paper, which is not asked by the group auditor, you may fall under clause 1. So, sharing of audit working paper required by law? Answer is no.
Okay, sir. Thanks for thanks for that clarity, sir. But however, there is a one chances that he can share with the client, sir. I believe he can share the working paper, but the client here, they should not ask the question about how they arrived all these things. They should not question back to the auditor.
Yeah, that is audit documentation and something we have seen from start. Documentation is the audit documentation is the property of the auditor. That is fine. So there is something like on this particular topic, what information is required to be shared with the client, what is there, we will discuss throughout the sessions, different sessions, plus SA 260, 265, what is required to be communicated with the management and those charged with governance. A lot of discussion will happen. But as of now, I'm saying that if you disclose information which is not even required by SA 600, because SA 600 only talks about information, not working papers. In that particular scenario, you need to be, you need to have make sure that you need to make sure that what information is required and what you are sharing.
Right, sir. More clear.
Okay. Like there is one question in the study material. It's a very good question. We will take it up. See, this is a question. Mr. P, a charter accountant, was invited by Chamber of Commerce to present a paper in a symposium on the issues facing Indian leather industry. During the course of his presentation, he shared some vital information of his client's business under the impression that it will help the nation to compete with the other countries at international level. Now you have to comment. By default, we know that clause 1 will be applicable. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Clause 1 will be applicable in this particular scenario because the information which is shared is related to the vital information of the client. And the term here is vital information, not the confidential. In line with my clause, remember I said that it talks about information. It can be confidential, it can be vital, it can be any information which is not in public. So you have to be careful. Even though the term confidential is not used, still you have to think of that. Okay, information about client which was not there in public, clause 1 will be there. Pretty straightforward, nothing difficult. If I think any doubts still. Any doubts? No. Okay. If no doubts, what I suggest is let's take a quick 10-minute break, go through whatever we have discussed, okay, for the notes and summary. After 10 minutes, we'll continue with clause 2. Okay, let's quickly take a 10-minute break. Yes.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
continue. So we'll start with now clause 2. I hope you don't have any doubts with respect to the previous part. If you have, then you can ask. Okay. So clause 2, that was about certifying, okay, a report on the examination of the financial statement unless such statement or the related records, okay, were examined by the partner, employee, or by another chartered accountant. So what exactly clause says is that if you certify or submit, like if you certify or submit in your name, remember that, in your name, in firm's name, okay, which is a report of examination of financial statement, report of examination of financial statement, unless such examination of such statement basically and the related records, that is not only about the financial statement but underlying records also, has been made by him, like he has made that by a partner, employee of his firm, or by another chartered accountant in practice. Now again, when I talk about partner, am I talking about partner who is not a chartered accountant? So whether this will include CA not in practice, partner who is a CA not in practice, can I include that? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Here we can include, sir, that is employee of the firm and partner. They are working under that particular partnership firm. They can very well they can vouch and submit the report.
So I'm talking about partner who is in CA but not in practice. Very good,
Yes,
Lavanya.
sir.
Yeah. So he can be there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Answer is no, he cannot. We have already discussed clause 4. Remember, with whom you can be in partnership.
A CA can be in
Yeah.
A CA can be partnered with another CA only if he holds certificate of practice.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
Yes, sir. But in terms of reviewing the certificate and submitting that, even though the COP is not required for partnership, there is a COP is needed.
No, no, no. Now, what is allowed over here? See, allowed is by a partner. Partner means CA in practice or other professional bodies. If is an employee, fine, because employee can review. There is no condition attached to the employee. But there is an indirect condition attached to the partner or another CA in practice. If you are a CA in general and if you are in employment with a CA firm, fine, you are in employment. That will be covered by employee. I am saying CA who is not a partner, who is not in practice, who is a partner. First of all, a CA who is not in practice cannot be a partner.
True, sir. That is the clause 4 also is restricting that.
Yes. So this is being restricted by clause 4 of part 1, first schedule. Now, a CA in general can be an employee. He can, verify on my behalf. Perfectly fine. Because I need, a team to do audit. Not engagement partner will not go and do the entire audit alone. So employee who will be part of the team can be there. Perfectly fine. But not as a partner. A CA who is not in practice cannot be a partner, so cannot certify or submit in the name of another CA in practice unless and until he is not an employee. So if you interpret this, basically CA, I'm saying not in practice,
Not allowed.
can only certify or can only examine if employee. And I can, like, CA in practice can take support of this only if he's an employee. Understand
Yes,
that?
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
CA in practice can only rely if CA is employee. Otherwise, if there is a CA who is not in practice, not an employee, if he do an examination or if he checks on my behalf, I cannot rely, because there are only three conditions. One is a partner, one is the employee, one is another CA in practice. By default, the first and third, partner and another CA in practice, require CA in practice.
Right, sir. And also the partner here means the regulation 53B also, other professional body member also, they can be a partner. There are 5 items.
Yeah. Regulation
53B.
53A and B.
Yes.
Yeah. So appropriately. So understand that the complexity over here is you can only rely upon
Just
work performed. Yes. Any questions? Yeah. So I was saying you can only rely upon the work that is performed by a chartered accountant who is not in practice if he is your employee. Otherwise, you cannot. Now, second part here that I want to explain is the examination of the financial statement. This particular term, examination of financial statement. Now here, although the term which is used, examination of a financial statement, okay, but you need to understand what kind of examination we are discussing over here, what it will include. Basically, when I talk about examination of financial statement, it includes all type of examination. It's not only the I would say reasonable assurance audit kind of thing. No, if it is you are issuing a limited assurance also, still examination, it's an examination of financial statement. So this term has to be interpreted in the way that it includes all kind of examinations of a financial statement. And that's why a corresponding term report is used, not an audit report, not any other kind of. So report basically kind of is a broader term than the audit report, and the term audit is not used. So we have to include all kind of examination of financial statements over here. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, let's proceed to the clause 3. Clause 3, that is permitting his name or the name of the firm to be used within estimates of earning, that is contingent upon future transaction, that it leads to that he is vouching the accuracy of the forecast. Remember, estimated vouching accuracy that we wrote. Okay. So, like, if you allow anyone to use your name with estimates of earning or vouching, as it appears that you are vouching or certifying the accuracy of the forecast, in that case, you can be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, specific points that I want to highlight over here. One is the term that is used is an estimate of earnings contingent upon future transactions in a manner that lead to believe that he vouches the accuracy of the forecast. Belief. This particular term is very important. Why? See, belief is kind of a term which talks about that, which may lead to belief that in actual, if you are not even, let's say for example, you are structured a report that is giving a hint that, okay, you are trying to vouch the accuracy of the forecast, but you are not written clearly directly. Somehow indirectly, it is you are trying to prove or you are trying to do that. The term believe, lead to believe will trigger. Okay. So it's not only the direct words we are talking about. In a manner which may lead to belief is very important. This particular term, in a manner which may lead to belief. That means if you are trying to do indirectly also this particular part, okay, if you worded your report indirectly also, that means it may get caught in the clause 3. So it's not only about the direct words that you have written, okay, I vouch the accuracy of the forecast. No, it is indirect also. Your words are of such nature that is, drawing the conclusion of the users that you have vouching the, although you are not written directly. Okay, so you are permitting your name, firm's name, to be used in connection with an estimate of earnings contingent upon future transaction that we have there. Okay, in a manner which may lead to believe that you vouch the accuracy of the forecast. Now, that is very important. Second part is vouch the accuracy. As already discussed, SAE 3400 and other, we do not vouch the accuracy. We comment upon the reasonable, not being unreasonable, about the estimates. Okay, I do not vouch the accuracy. No, never. If I show you the wordings also of SAE 3400 as of now, okay, let me show you the wordings of SAE 3400 over there. Over there also, what I'm saying I am vouching the, not vouching the accuracy. Basically, I am talking about that I am not being unreasonable on the estimates. If you see this one, like sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, what audit evidence I need to obtain about that the best estimate assumptions on the prospective financial information that is there are not unreasonable. Because I am giving a limited assurance, that's why I'm using the negative tone, not unreasonable. I could have written that are reasonable. Okay, are reasonable, but no, it's a limited assurance. So are not unreasonable. And such assumptions are consistent with the purpose of information. So I'm talking about two things. Again, we will discuss more when we will discuss this. Not unreasonable and consistent. That's it. These are the two main objectives when I talk about examination of prospective financial information. Reasonability and consistency. Anywhere, go through this standard, anywhere you will not find accuracy. Reasonability and consistency does not mean accuracy. That both, all the three are different. Okay.
Yes, sir. In our objectives of auditing is reasonable assurance to provide, to obtain.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are not giving any reasonable assurance. We are giving limited assurance. That's why the term limited assurance is into the picture. So going back, even there are guidance note issued. Okay, guidance note on the reports in the companies of prospectus. Okay, then there are also SEBI ICDR regulations where you need to give the reports on the prospectus. But again, everywhere go that particular even if you go that particular requirements, it's nowhere say that you have to vouch the accuracy of the forecast. No, it's not the case. Again, the standard, whenever you issue a report, you have to comply with the standard. Over there also, it's not saying that you have to vouch the accuracy of the forecast. So accuracy is different from the consistency, and your the second part that we discussed about was reasonability. Okay, so it's not accuracy. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay,
No,
let's say
sir.
for a, okay, let's say hypothetical example. We will discuss one question over here. Okay, and then to understand further on this scenario, we will discuss more. So let's say I have a question. Mr. A, CA in practice, certified the projected financial statement of ABC Private Limited based on the data prepared by management to comply with SAE 3400. Sorry. He verified the consistency and reasonability of estimates, but he issued reasonable assurance. He issued reasonable assurance that he certifies the accuracy of forecast. Now you have to comment. Okay. Here you have to comment on this particular scenario as per the CA Act.
Sir, he cannot certify that accuracy of the forecasts in this given case, sir.
Okay. So,
but he will be guilty.
Okay. So you are saying guilty under
Clause 3.
Guilty under clause 3. Anyone else with any different answer?
In any case, projected financial statement cannot be certified. First line is itself it.
Okay. And so you are also saying he will be guilty under clause 3?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Anyone else with anything different? Anyone else with anything different? See, there is a purpose why I'm taking this particular question. Very good, Priya. Yes. So you are also saying guilty under clause 3. First thing, we all agree that it's a guilty. He is guilty under clause 3. Perfectly fine. I also agree on that. This is correct. He is guilty under clause 3. But this is only half answer. Reason because there are two more things. I would say rather not even half. This is only 1/3 of answer. There are two more points that you need to consider. Clause 9.
However, his responsibility. Yeah, however, his responsibility is that he can review and examination of that whatever the data prepared by the management, consistency and all these things. He has to verify it. He should not deviate from his work.
See, examination, like he has complied with SAE 3400, he has examined. So I would not say that he has not examined or he has asked anyone else to examine who is not allowed. But clause 9, what was clause 9 basically? If we talk about clause 9 was fail to invite material departure from generally accepted principles of audit. Now, when I'm certifying over here, I'm talking about reasonable assurance. Reasonable assurance does not only require your reasonability and consistency. Okay, if I talk about reasonable assurance, it should be beyond consistency and reasonability. It should be sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So on one hand, you are saying I'm giving reasonable assurance, but I don't have the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. It is you have departure. There is a departure from the generally accepted principles of audit. So clause 9 will also be there. Plus clause 7, because you are not doing anything appropriately, you are gross negligent. You are not exercised due diligence. Clause 7 will also be applicable. See, that's why I said this is clause 7 is kind of buy one get one. Whenever I will bring clause 9 or any other clause, remember, mess in the picture, you can say it's a buy one get one most of the time, but you have to also examine whether it is the case or not. But
Yes,
when I say
yes, sir.
consistency and reasonability is not sufficient for my reasonable assurance, so there is a departure also in this scenario. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Very much relevant.
So there is a departure from my generally accepted auditing principles of audit. Clause 9 will come into picture. I was gross negligent. Clause 7 will come into the picture. By writing only clause 3 in the exam, most of students will go accuracy of the forecast certified clause 3 matter over. No, think beyond that. You have to understand the scenario, think beyond that. It is not only the case in exam that only one particular clause will be there asked directly. And in practical life also, the scenarios are not such like, okay, you have one particular clause that attracted directly, there is nothing further. Analyze the case study from all the angles. That is something is required, and that is you need to learn. That will come by practice. Okay. As of now, I have not taken clause 9 and clause 7 for the discussion, but we have discussed in the summary. So based on that also, I would recommend that the thinking process of the particular case study or particular question, you have to think of from all these sides, not only one side.
Right, sir.
Clear? Any doubt with this? Any doubt? Some might then say, so if no doubt, then some might also say clause 8 will also be applicable, sir, because he has not obtained sufficient information to support the opinion. Yes or no? Yes or no? Clause 8, what clause 8 says? Summary, if you go through the summary also, what clause 8 talks about?
Fails to obtain sufficient information.
About the opinion, correct? So here I'm
Yes.
giving reasonable assurance opinion. Do I have sufficient information? No. Clause 8 also can come into picture. So 3, 9, 8, then 7 for sure. Buy one, get one. Here you are 2. So buy 2, get 1 is compulsory. He will definitely get 7 in that scenario. Grossly negligent. Are you getting the point? Any doubt? See, that's why I'm saying the more thinking you will do behind the scenario, the more you will understand what and how different things can come into the picture. I have purposefully written here this term, accuracy of the forecast, to mislead you towards clause 3. Trust me, this is kind of misleading towards the clause 3. This is purposefully written so that you think on that particular side, but it's not the case always. Okay. If no further doubts, let's proceed to the clause 4. This was clause 3 that we discussed. I hope everything is clear with this. Okay, now let's talk about clause 4. Clause 4, that is, you express an opinion on the financial statement where you are substantially interested. And not only you, your firm, partner, or his firm has a substantial interest. Now, this is very, a step ahead. Now, when I talk about you, your partner, understood. Your firm, understood. Or a partner in his firm, okay. That is something you need to understand now. That even if your partner has a substantial interest, in that case, you cannot proceed further. You cannot express the opinion. Simple example. Now here, the term that is used is that express an opinion of a financial statement of any business or enterprise where the substantial interest is. So there are two things we need to understand. What is business and enterprise? Second, what is this substantial interest? Definition is. What is this substantial interest? That is we need to understand. Now this term substantial interest we have already seen in clause 11. We have already seen in clause 11 basically. Now what that means basically, if I talk about substantial interest, what that means? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by substantial interest?
Either himself or with the person as mentioned herein, has a beneficial interest of more than 20%.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Now, when I talk about substantial interest, the term substantial interest in a concern, okay, you may refer to page number 19.80. Over there, there is this term substantial interest.
Yeah,
So,
one or more relative members, member of that
correct.
relative or partner
Yes.
relative.
Yes. So, when I talk about substantial interest in case of a company, okay, let's say when I talk about a company, if you have a rate of dividends or participation, so at least if you are carrying 20% of voting power at any point in time, you will be called having substantial interest. Now, it is not necessary that you hold directly. If one of more your relatives of the member, like if one of more relatives of the member, now here member, you can replace with the partner. So one or more relatives of the partner together, or any concern in which that person has a substantial interest, means your partner. If there is a concern, okay, in which your partner has a substantial interest, and in that concern again has a substantial interest in the company, that is business or enterprise we are talking about, it will fall under the clause. Okay. So 20% of voting power or 20% of the profits of such concern, if it is not a company. Basically, either the partner himself through relatives or through his concern has 20% or more of voting power or profit, then it is called that he has a substantial interest in that particular entity, directly or indirectly. As of now, understand that is indirectly also, not only directly, but indirectly also. That means indirectly. Now, if he has an indirect interest, so we will write substantial interest here, directly, indirectly. Okay. Then also you cannot issue opinion on the financial statement. Now the second thing is business or enterprise. Am I writing company? Answer is no. Am I writing proprietorship? Answer is no. I'm writing business or enterprise. It is a wider term when it comes to the type of the structure. It can be company, it can be non-corporate entity, it can be LLP, it can be anything. But I am using the term business and enterprise that will encompass all: company, non-corporate entity, LLP, etc. Everything is covered. Okay. And the third point that I'm talking about over here is expresses his opinion on financial statement. So if I'm talking about opinion on the financial statement, what I'm talking about? What type of opinion I'm talking about? Anyone? Opinion on the financial statement, then what type of opinion it is? Anyone? No?
Qualified, unqualified.
It can be modified or unmodified opinion.
Okay. But modified, unmodified, apart from that, any other type of opinion that you think might come into picture? Like not with respect to the modification, but the nature, type of assurance.
Which means any certificate, any assurance.
Any opinion? All type of opinions will be covered. Reasonable, limited, all will be covered. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So not only reasonable, but limited assurance will also be there. Reasonable plus limited, both. Now my one question to you. When I say opinion on financial statement, I know statutory audit will be part of this. I know that for sure. What about tax audit? What about tax audit?
Tax audit, he is giving the report
Hmm.
in the form of Form 3CD, 3CB. He is expressing his opinion.
Tax audit will allow because he's Form 3CD, not financial. Will it allow?
No, sir, it's not allowed.
Okay. GST audit?
What is that?
GST audit?
GST also is audit, sir. There is
Yeah.
also not allowed.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say, for example, you have a audit of a particular, like let's say stock audit. Stock audit. You have a stock audit. Can you do
Stock
stock
audit.
But if there is substantial interest, then in any kind of audit, it should not be allowed.
Okay. Okay. So now the very good part you have said that any kind of audit is not allowed. Okay. That is
Sir,
the main concern that you need to understand. It does not include only the audit and statutory audit. I'm talking about opinion on financial statement. When I talk about financial statement, it is not the whole financial statement. I'm talking about all kind of audits: stock audit, GST, income tax, even concurrent audits for the banks. A lot of things are included in that. So you need to understand reasonable plus limited plus all kinds of audit. All kinds of audit. That is something you need to understand over here. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt?
sir, what about a non-audit client and non-audit service, sir?
See, if it is non-audit client, non-audit service, it is not opinion itself in the first case. So this particular part will not come.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah. Now, there are two more scenarios that I want to discuss over here, which are beyond application of clause 4, like which are, you can say extension of clause 4. So remember in clause 11 we discussed about multiple type of sorry. Really sorry for that. So in clause 11 we discussed about multiple type of businesses that is allowed, permissible for the charter accountant. Yes or no? Clause 11 part 1 first schedule.
Yes, sir. There are regulation 190A.
Yes. Now over there were certain type of like things which were allowed. For example, what was allowed is like after specific resolution. I'm not talking about general resolution. After specific resolution, you may take a part-time, full-time lectureship in a any institute or educational institute. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Plus, like there are certain other scenarios where you can be trustee, but not on a employment or not on a salary come basis, but you can be a trustee. Remember clause regulation 191, liquidator, trustee, executor, administrator. Let me show you. um,
Yes, sir. Recruiter, trustee, executor,
yeah,
administrator, arbitrator, receiver, advisor.
till the time you are not on employment on a salary come full time basis, you can be trustee. So let's say either you are a trustee or you are doing a lectureship. You are, let's say for example this one, you are doing this or this 6 and 7, let's say 6 or 7, you are doing full-time lectureship or part-time lectureship in a college, or you are a trustee of a college of a particular trust. Can you do audit? Can you do audit, and will the clause 4 will be applicable? So let me go to the clause 4 again and discuss that. Yeah, here is the clause 4. Now tell me, if I talk about uh, lectureship of college or in college basically, and trustee, so they both, here can I do audit of college
No, sir.
or can I do audit of trust?
No, sir.
Is it substantial interest?
Yes, sir. He is a trustee, is right.
Yeah, is a trustee, but is it a substantial interest?
See, he involved in the position of the management discussion. He is a keynote person.
Yeah,
Trustee is one of the KMPs, right? In that case, how he can act as a auditor? There is a self-interest.
absolutely correct. So before reaching to the clauses, always look into the fundamental principles. Okay, before reaching to the clauses, see whether something is allowed by fundamental principle itself or not, or is there a threat. Now this is by default, you will say will I be independent, or is it not a self review threat, self interest threat? Okay,
Self-interest. Sir, also if the company, when there is say auditor can become a director of the company. In this
hmm.
case, he cannot become the auditor of the company.
That is already for, see, for a company you already have uh section 141, so that is already there.
Yes, sir.
Section 141 is already there, that is fine. But apart from that, let's say where there is no provision of the company sec, like trustee, college.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is not covered there.
Yes, so over there, remember, see, at that point in time itself only, before reaching even to a clause, okay, you need to check for the fundamental principles. Always remember that. So independence or other fundamental principles will come into picture first, then you go to the clauses. Because the clauses somewhere down the line are defined in the way of the fundamental principle itself. Okay. So they are there for the fundamental principles itself. So first you ensure the fundamental principles and then you go. It may not directly fit into clause 4, but still there are fundamental principles that stop you from doing this. Similarly, it has also been decided by the council on the same line. See, on page number 19.95, that council has also decided that the CA should not by himself or his firm name accept the auditorship of college and accept the auditorship of trust. Now, these are the two examples which are already been decided, but could be other examples also of similar nature where it could be self-interest threat, where could be issue of a fundamental principle, where could be issue of independence. Over there, you should not accept the audit. Okay. If you will do, in that case, you are violating not the basically what I thought, I'm talking about schedules. But remember, there is clause 1 also of part 2. Contravenes any provision, regulation, guidelines of the issued by the council. Code of ethics is part of that. In that case, clause 1 part 2 will be attracted, although you may not be covered by this specific clause, but there is a clause 1 of part 2 of second schedule. Clear?
Yes, sir. Chartered account cannot escape in any route.
Yeah. So basically, see, it's logic. Everywhere we are talking about fundamental principles, independence, objectivity. Okay. So we are talking about those fundamental principles only. If that is permissible by the concept of the fundamental principle, I don't think so anywhere any of the clause will not permit.
Also, that we have separate as any disrepute to that profession, whether it is a personal or the professional, also is there. Other misconduct.
Yes. Okay. Any doubt with respect to clause 4? Even like with all the type of audits, so here it is, like all the audits are covered. So requirement of clause applicable to all attached functions. Audit, GST audit, concurrent audits of borrowers, all things are there over here. Everything is applicable. Because the term opinion is used, opinion on financial statement. That's why the opinion can be any type of opinion. Any doubt? Okay. Okay. If no further doubt, we will now proceed to the 5 to 9 section. Okay. Clause 5 to clause 9. Very important part. Clause 5. That is, fails to disclose. Now, over here, we will discuss about more onto the practical scenario than the clauses. I will cover the clauses, but then we will talk about more on the practical scenarios to discuss these clauses. The clause 5 fails to disclose a material fact known to him, which is not disclosed in the financial statement. So he fails to disclose a material fact known to him, which was not there in the financial statement and which is necessary in the making of financial statement. And he should be associated with that financial statement in professional capacity. So when I talk about fail to disclose material fact, so I need to understand the term materiality. Remember, SA 320 will come what is material. But I'm talking about material fact, which is not there in the financial statement. So not there, not disclosed, which is necessary, and I am associated in a professional capacity. Now the question comes is, what is professional capacity over here? What is professional capacity? You need to understand that the term professional capacity, see, what it says is fail to disclose a material fact, known to him which is not disclosed in the financial statement, but disclosure which is necessary in making such financial statement where he is concerned with that financial statement in a professional capacity. That means if you are doing any engagement on that financial statement in professional capacity, he is not talking about only the audit. It's not only the audit. So when you are associated with that financial statement in your professional capacity, which is beyond audit, okay, in that particular case, so if I talk about beyond audit, that means certificates also. So this is not audit plus certificates plus reports of limited assurance. So you are concerned with that financial statement in a professional capacity. And if you fail to disclose that material fact, then clause 5 will be applicable. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, then I have a question. Does professional capacity mean employment also? Does professional capacity mean employment also? Yes, no?
Yes, sir, it will be covered.
So let's say you are an employee of a company, you were tasked to prepare the financial statement, you knew a material fact but did not disclose in the financial statement because your manager told you not to disclose. Whether clause 5 will be applicable?
No, sir. This class is particularly talk about the chartered accountant professional. He is in practice, class 5.
Yes. Remember that. CA in practice. Part 1 is applicable CA in practice, not in employment. Okay. If you are in practice, clause 11 does not allow you to be in employment with any company apart from another CA in practice firm. So here, when I talk about professional capacity, it does not mean employment. No, employment is not covered over here. So you can write not employment. Because employment is different, not C in practice. Okay. That is not part of your professional capacity. Clear? Okay. Now coming to clause 6. We will discuss these clauses in detail with practical scenarios. Don't worry on that. But as of now, just understand because these clauses have very little to, on a verbatim side, but more on the understanding side. Clause 6 basically straightforward. Fails to report material fact known to him. Material misstatement. Fails to report material misstatement known to him. That is appearing in the financial statement. And where he is concerned in professional capacity. Again, the term material misstatement, I need to understand the materiality known to him. Appearing in the financial statement means uncorrected. That means it is uncorrected. Uncorrected material misstatement. Uncorrected material misstatement.
So one question I have, suppose clause 5 says about not disclosing material facts known to him, and clause 6 says material misstatement known to him. So is clause 5 talking specifically about emphasis of matter paragraph?
No. Any material fact. And that is material fact in the financial statement. See, again, so emphasis of matter paragraph is something disclosure in your audit report. Here it is saying disclosure of.
Sorry to interrupt. Suppose financial statement is the responsibility of management. If they do not disclose anything, auditor will have to disclose in the report only. That is what I am saying. So how will auditor insert in auditor cannot insert in financial statement or disclose in financial statement.
Yes. So understand this particular part here. Fails to disclose a material fact known to him, not disclosed in the financial statement. Now, when you do not disclose a fact in a financial statement, what it becomes?
Sir, actually, the disclosure of the material items is the responsibility of the management. However, when that item is not disclosed by the management, it is a duty of the auditor. Ask them to rectify it. Ask them to disclose. If they are not disclosing it, then he has to report it in the audit report.
Yes, totally agreed. Now, that's what I'm saying. So, let's say if there is an item, let's say a note on the going concern, there was a very big litigation, it was a material fact known to the auditor that was not disclosed in the financial statement. What is that? So when I not disclose, when the management does not disclose anything in the financial statement, which is necessary as per the financial reporting framework, what do you call that?
Sir, it is a fraud, sir. Then
Not fraud, it's a material misstatement only. It is a misstatement that the disclosure is not as per the financial reporting framework. Now, whenever there is a material misstatement, there are two things. One, you have to intimate to the management. Management, there is a misstatement, please rectify. Now, if you fail to disclose that material fact to management or to anyone else, in that case, clause 5 will be applicable. If you fail to disclose that particular part, that misstatement in your audit report, clause 6 will be applicable. So once you have to disclose that, when I talk about disclosing, it is disclosing to the management, it is disclosing to the relevant person so that they can make the correction. It is disclosing in your audit report also, like reporting also. It covers reporting also. So it is not only basically, you can say, audit. It is, and that's why I say, when I talk about professional capacity, it's beyond audit. That's why I included reports also. So you need to disclose in reports also. Plus, there are other areas where you might need to, provide information on the financial statement. Now, when I talk about professional capacity, this professional capacity is beyond audit. Okay, it's beyond something. Let's say, for example, you are engaged with respect to a litigation where you need to provide the information to the concerned authority on the financial statement. Now you know there is a material fact which is not disclosed in the financial statement, and if you still do not disclose in that particular authority, I'm not talking about audit. Audit is done, audit report is done, everything is done. Clause 5 will be applicable. So it is beyond your audit. Understand that. Clear?
sir, what do you mean by beyond the audit over here?
Beyond the audit, that means that, simple example, fail to disclose material fact means when I was hired by an authority, when I was into a litigation where I need to report to an authority, over there I'm not in audit, but I'm professionally connected with that financial statement, correct? If I'm professionally connected with that financial statement, I have this clause 5 responsibility failed to disclose material fact which is not disclosed in the financial statement. So I need to at least report to the authority, okay, sir, see, this is a material fact which is not there in the financial statement, which was necessary. And if I fail to do so, I am not doing any audit, but still clause 5 will be applicable to me because I have failed to disclose the material fact. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, here the report in the material misstatement, is that with respect to financial statement or outside the financial statement?
No, financial statement basically.
And then there is no need for disclosing with the material effect to other officer, right? There is no need, right?
See, I am not talking about disclosing in the financial statement. I am talking about disclosing to anyone who was supposed to know.
Say example, the litigation, it's beyond the financial statement. But this is what my concern is. The thing is that whenever there is a failed to report in material misstatement known to him to appear in the financial statement in the capacity of the professional,
See,
is only in relation to the financial statement, not to others, not others.
Sir, what I feel is these both of these clauses are almost same. Clause 5 is talking about not disclosing means omission, and this is talking about commission.
no, see, it's not like that. Understand? See, that's why I'm saying I can explain you with an example better. Let me take up example. Let me explain you with an example this particular clause in a better way. Okay, let's say this is the question. Okay, let's say Mr. A, CA in practice, was appointed by department, or not even by department, let's say was appointed let's say income tax authorities. Okay, was appointed by income tax authorities to perform due diligence of financial statements of, let's say, ABC Limited for purpose of identification of undisclosed income. Mr. A failed to include a specific contract disclosure, or not a specific like a specific contract disclosure which was with related party, not at arm's length price. This was also not reported in FS. Now take this particular example. In this particular example, tell me one thing. Here, due diligence is being done, not any assurance. I'm not talking about assurance. Here, due diligence is there. Okay. So in this particular scenario, here I have failed to disclose, yes or no, about a related party contract which was not at arm's length price. Is this a material misstatement?
Yes, sir. It's a material
Yes, sir.
mistake.
Clause 6 will attract.
Okay. Okay. See,
Yeah.
now here the thing is, I'm talking about fail to report material misstatement. This is when I fail to report material misstatement, when I'm doing audit, when it is my responsibility to report material misstatement. When I do audit, what is my opinion? That the financial statement are free from material misstatement. Yes or no? That is the objective of the audit.
Yes,
But
sir.
when I'm doing the due diligence, my objective is not to report misstatement. My objective is to identification of the undisclosed financial income. Here, undisclosed income. So was I required to report material misstatement? Answer is no. Clause 6 will not get attracted because it's not about reporting material misstatement. It is about disclosing a material fact. This particular related party transaction was not at arm's length price. This was supposed to be reported in my due diligence report. This was known to me, but I did not report. There's a very thin line between clause 5 and 6. Remember, clause 5 talks about disclosing. It can be disclosing to, even, let's say, for example, instead of income tax authorities, I was appointed by, let's say, the company itself in this scenario. Was my role to report material misstatement to company in a due diligence? Or it's a non-assurance service. Let's say, for example, I'm not giving any assurance. There is a specific thing. I'm concerned in a professional capacity with that particular financial statement. Let's say when you will see that when we will discuss about the chapter in due diligence, investigation, forensic accounting, over there, due diligence is done, like, there are investigations also done by on a non-statutory ground. We will see various examples over there. So in that particular scenario, it is beyond the material misstatement, it's beyond the audit. Any other doubt? So Geet, I think this is the part that I was talking about. Submitted to outside authority, that means if you are employee, if you are preparing within the company itself, it doesn't make any difference, like you are the employee. But here it is something where you are connected in a professional capacity. I hope I'm clear. Any doubt? See, there will be scenarios where it is directly clause 5, clause 6, clause 7 will be applicable. So there are lot many scenarios or cases where 5, 6, 7, 3 altogether will be applicable. For example, in an audit, if I do not disclose, let's say this was an audit. This particular example was an audit. And if I do not disclose in my audit report also, so there will be two things. Clause 5 will be there, clause 6 will be there, and buy one, buy two, get three is clause 7 will also be there. But there are scenarios, specific rare case scenarios where only 5 may attract. So that is the difference between 5 and 6. Any doubt still? Any doubt?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. That's why a clause 6, simple, material misstatement. When I am concerned in a professional capacity where I have a duty to report material statement, if I do not, clause 6 will be there. Clause 7, straightforward. This is kind of, like basically very, you can say, clause that is most of the time will applicable if other 5 to 9 are applicable. That says that does not exercise due diligence or grossly negligent in conduct of his professional duties. Now, if you do not disclose material fact, if you do not report material misstatement, if you fail to invite attention to the material departure from the auditing principles, okay, if you fail to obtain sufficient information, I can easily say you are grossly negligent in the conduct of your professional duties. So 5 to 9 already, are scenarios, except for 7, that you are not doing your duty appropriately. 7 will be applicable. So it's self-explanatory. I don't think so it requires any further explanation. But still, any doubt on this? Can anyone give me a scenario where you can only say the 7 is applicable? Can you give me a scenario where only 7 is applicable? Anyone?
Insufficient team member employed in for the audit.
Okay. Insufficient team member. What issue that is arising? Why you will say it's does not exercise due diligence or grossly
Due
negligent?
diligence means doing the work with skill care required to execute that work, and so he has to deploy a team. Suppose a team of member of team sufficient to carry out the work.
Okay. But if you are getting the work done, let's say for example, if you are getting the information which is required, then you won't be called as an due diligence, like does not exercise due diligence or grossly negligent. Yeah, if you do not get the information, sufficient information, then clause 8 is also there. Like clause 8 is there when you do not have the sufficient information or you have the assumptions which negate your opinion. So it'll go to clause 8. But if you have the information, what is the you can say gross negligence over there. Very good, Priya. Very good example. Okay, I'll tell you. So, what is the generic? What is the due date for filing of income tax audit report? I know it is beyond audit, but what is the due date for filing of tax audit report? Very good, Geet. Tax audit report due date. Anyone aware? Like anyone has done anything in that? No. Submission date for the form 3CD. Anyone? 30th September, 31st October, or 30th November, like that way. The dates are there. Uh, in that case, if let's say for example, I do not provide the client the tax audit report on time. Instead of 30th November, I gave him on the 1st October. Let's say the due date was hypothetical. Let's assume the due date was 30th September. I gave him the tax audit report on 1st October. Will I be attracted by clause 5, 6, 8, 9? Will I get attracted by clause 5, 6, 8, or 9 if I give tax audit report beyond the due date? Yes, no? Am I audible, guys? I'm not getting any answers. Answer is no. See, you will not get attracted by 5, 6, 8, 9. Again, I'm talking about 5, 6, 8, 9. So what is 5? Fail to disclose. Tax audit report not given on time. Am I failing to disclose? No. Clause 6 fails to report material misstatement. I'm just giving late. How I am not, everything is fine in report. Report is perfectly fine. Everything is disclosed the way it was supposed to be disclosed. So 6 is also not applicable. 8, fail to obtain. I have obtained appropriate information, then only I issued the opinion. So clause 8 also fine. Fails to invite material departure. So I have done audit as per the standards. I have clause 9 also complied with. So 5, 6, 8, 9 perfectly fine. But if I do not issue audit report on due date or before due date, if I issue after due date, I can be said that I was grossly negligent in the conduct of my professional duties. This particular term, grossly negligent in conduct of his professional duties, is beyond your, audit. Like, if you do not do your professional duties, one of your professional duties is to provide the audit report on time, to provide the certificates on time. In that case, you will be held guilty under clause 7. So clause 7 is not only with 5, 6, 8, 9. It can be attracted separately also. Simple, another example. I went to a stock audit. I was a chartered accountant in practice, auditor of a company. I went to a stock audit. And while doing the stock audit, I misbehaved with one of the client's personnel. He was a person, he was the manager over there, and I misbehaved with him. I spoke rudely. Let's say sometimes, a lot of misbehavior happened over there. I abused him, a lot of things happened. At the end, I issued, all the reports on time, everything was done appropriately. Because I misbehaved, on a very good extent, I abused him without any, reason, or I used any words which are not appropriate. I was grossly negligent in the conduct of my professional duties. Clause 7 will attract. It's not only the audit, it's the conduct that is being discussed about. So here you need to focus upon also on the term conduct. This is very important term. There is a fundamental principle which is on the conduct. Can anyone tell me? Which is the last fundamental principle?
Professional behavior.
Absolutely. So you have to comply with professional behavior, to follow professional behavior. Anywhere,
Yes, sir.
if you do not follow professional behavior, that is, you are negligent in your conduct. And grossly negligent means you deviated a lot from your professional behavior. Although it will also bringing the disrepute to the profession and to the institute, that is a secondary part, but here clause 7 will also be applicable. Clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir. The professional behavior, it will come as a subsection 115. From which subsection, sir? Is it direct subsection or what, sir? I am also having doubt on that.
So,
sir, we talk about, integrity is a section 1111. Like that, objectivity, it's coming under 112. We generally discuss subsection is right. Which subsection actually is there any main clause is there for that?
Okay. So, okay. Now these subsections that I'm talking about, like these subsections that you have, it's basically part of code of ethics. Okay. So there is a section 110 that is fundamental principle. Of Code of Ethics, Part 1, there is a section 110 fundamental principles. In that, you have a subsection 111, subsection 112. So let me show you also. When you will, what you can say, when you will go to the Code of Ethics document, the specific Code of Ethics document which is there, basically the publication, the original publication of the Code of Ethics. Over there, like how it is divided into headings which are called as in sections, and then it is divided into subsections, the requirements of those headings. So for example, see the parts, remember we discussed code of ethics, various parts. So I'll go to the part 1. Okay. Part 1, this is section 110, which talks about fundamental principle. Now these are subsections of the section 110, which are the professional behaviors or fundamental principles. So when I talk about 110, it's a section. When I talk about 260, responding to non-compliance in employment, or 360, responding to non-compliance in a listed entity, it's a section. Okay, but here it is these are the subsections of section 110.
Okay. In the code of code of conduct, there is a things. It's not from the act, right?
No. It is code of ethics. So code of
Okay.
ethics has a section of 110 fundamental principles, and then you have a subsection 112, 11, 111, like this way.
Okay. I had doubt about. I supposed to ask that time, but now I am remembering this question to me.
Yeah. So even if you go to the code of ethics, that's why I always recommend, like, read these documents. So you have this, like, section 110, subsection 111. Once you will read now, you will come to know about the code of ethics. Even code of ethics has some A1, A2, R. Consider your homework, and in next lecture tell me what is the reference of this R and what is the reference of this A1, A2. Okay, why this R is there, why this A1, A2s are there. So go through this and then tell me what is R, what is A1, A2, what is simply 112, 113. So go through that, and in next session you tell me about your homework, this one.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So now coming back to the clauses. So we discussed about clause 6, clause 5. Okay, we discussed about clause 7, that is grossly negligent in the conduct, and you have to consider from the professional behavior side, fundamental principle. Let's go to clause 8. Clause 8 basically talks about if you fail to obtain sufficient information which is necessary for the expression of an opinion, or exceptions are sufficiently material to negate an expression of opinion. Now, two things. This has two parts. One, fails to obtain sufficient information. And when I talk about information, it is evidence basically. It is talking about evidence. When you fails to obtain the necessary evidence, remember sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So when you
Yes,
fail
sir.
to obtain that sufficient and appropriate audit evidence for expressing the opinion, and you still proceed with the opinion, let's say for example, you did not have the information of the inventory, but instead of modifying, you issued an unmodified opinion, clause 8 will be applicable. Okay, so once you don't have the sufficient and appropriate information, but still you issue unmodified opinion, in that case you will deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct.
Then that means we can say that if there is some material misstatement which is also pervasive, but he has not given a modified opinion. Is that
No,
so?
no. Material misstatement already covered. Let's say, for example, management had this information, but I did not ask this information, or I did not, collected this information from management. For example, management had the listing of stock. There was no material misstatement. The whole listing was prepared appropriately by the management. Everything was tallied, but I forgot to ask that information. I did not obtain that information from management. I did not obtain the listing of stock. Management gave me trial balance where there was a ledger of inventory. I took that inventory balance and I issued my audit opinion without verifying the background information.
Actually, this is a main heart of the audit. He has to ask obtain the audit evidence.
Yes. Not only this amount part, but there are other disclosures in your financial statement for which you are required to obtain the information from management. So if you do not obtain the information, I'm not saying that there is a material misstatement in that area. No, I'm not saying. Let's say related party transaction. Management has prepared the related party transaction disclosure in their financial statement, but you did not obtain the sufficient information to cross verify whether that is correct or not. Let's assume it is correct. Management has prepared appropriately, but you did not obtain the information. That means you failed to obtain sufficient information. Misstatement is there or not, it's a secondary. Like, we are not going into that as of now. But here the first part is you did not obtain the information itself. Or second line, which is there, exceptions are sufficient material. For example, I'm issuing my audit opinion. But let's say I have a other matter paragraph where I have written that I have not verified the balances of asset. Do you think it's an appropriate audit report?
No, sir, it should not be like that.
Yes.
When auditor should comply with the professional and ethical standard, a technical standard also here to comply. Simply, he should not return like that, subject to these and that are not verified. This is not the right way of doing the audit.
Yes. So one side I'm saying I'm issuing an opinion. They will say, okay, there is a departure. I highlighted the departure, but that departure is sufficient material enough to negate your expression of opinion. Only reporting the departure as per, like clause 9 talks about that you need to report the departure, correct? Clause 9 talks about that you need to invite the attention to any material departure from generally accepted procedures of audit. For example, one such procedure is that I need to verify the physical verification of fixed asset and inventory. Let's say I did not verify. I have written because of limited time, I was not able to physically verify the fixed asset and inventories, and subject to that, I'm issuing my opinion. I have written in the other matter paragraph. So I'm bringing the attention to the material departure. Is it sufficient? Like, is it not negating my expression of opinion? So if you do anything which is sufficiently negating your expression of opinion, although you are bringing attention of that, still covered by clause 8.
Without obtaining the audit evidence and he is negating that, then what is this? This is totally negligent.
Yes. So that's why clause 8 has two parts: fails to obtain information, or exceptions which are sufficiently material to negate your opinion. If any of the scenarios
That means it is pervasive. That means it is pervasive. Otherwise, if it is not pervasive, either omission or act, then how can opinion be negated? And opinion is impacted when it is pervasive.
No. When do you say pervasive?
It is something which impacts the like a cancer, not like a malaria.
See, when I talk about pervasive, I always talk about in the terms of material misstatement. The effect or possible effect of the material misstatement are, either contained in one or more line items, financial statement line items, are restricted to the one particular financial statement line item, but are of such nature that it covers majority portion of my financial statement. So when you see the definition of the pervasiveness, it's always connected with the material misstatement. So without material misstatement, there cannot be a pervasiveness.
Sir, first we have to ask the sufficient material information. If the material information is not received, then it will be the matter that there is a limitation is there or not. Then those cases we will see whether it is a material. Is there any possible effect? If it is a material, then we will give the modified opinion. If it is a pervasive nature, definitely we will give the disclaimer of opinion straight away.
Yes. So material misstatement comes after you get the information.
Yes, sir. This is what after getting the information only we will say. But here this class 8 it talks about first you obtain the sufficient information for audit.
Yes,
Then
absolutely.
yeah, this is what he is talking about. The disclosure that
So,
giving opinion is a secondary.
That is not always the case. Even in case of not obtaining the limitation on scope either by own self, or we can have either qualified or adverse. In that
see,
case also there can be a qualified opinion.
see, now this is your essay 705, which talks about modified opinion. Okay, modified opinion. Now, if you go to the definition of the pervasive over here, the term pervasive, it says a term used in the context of a misstatement. In the context of the misstatement. Without misstatement, you don't have pervasiveness. So when I use the term pervasive, I am using in the context of a misstatement. That means I have identified the misstatement, like its effects or possible effects. But there is a misstatement I'm talking about. Okay. When you identify a misstatement, once either you have some information that you think there is a misstatement. Number two, you have not received sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. That's why you are saying that is not a misstatement, but the impact is such that you are not able to give an opinion. So if I go to the disclaimer opinion section over here, wait, see what it says, that inability to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Okay, like when you have not obtained audit evidence, then you give a disclaimer of opinion. But if I go to adverse opinion over here, okay, let's say one more, yeah. So wait, I'll show you one particular point with respect to the adverse opinion. Yeah, this is unable to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, and if you conclude that the possible effect of undetected misstatement and misstatement which are not detected, it's material and pervasive, then you go for a disclaimer of opinion.
Else it is modified.
Yeah, it's a modified. Like if you say that undetected, I don't know whether the misstatements are there or not, and I don't know for multiple areas, not only single but multiple areas, I don't know about multiple areas. In that case, I will issue a disclaimer of opinion.
Yes, sir. Without seeing that evidence, we cannot identify it. We cannot.
Yes,
Yeah.
in this particular scenario, when I talk about fails to obtain sufficient information, you can say you have not obtained the information. Misstatement will come later on. First I'm talking about getting the information, and here it is, you have not received the information, still you are issuing the unmodified opinion. Like if I'm able to answer to your question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Without tasting the food, we cannot say it is a good or bad.
No, but even let's say for example, if you don't have the food and you have to comment upon it, you will say I don't have the food. But in that scenario, if you say I had the food, it was great, it is wrong. That will come under clause 8.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, that was clause 8. And the 9 is talking about material departure. It's nothing like, beyond in that. What we discussed is fail to invite attention from the material departure of or generally accepted audit procedures of audit applicable to the circumstances. Now, in nutshell, if I talk about this, talks about following standards. Essays, basically. So if there is a departure from essay and you fail to invite attention to that, in that case, this clause will be applicable. Okay. Now, generally accepted audit principles or procedures of audit will include standard, will include UDIN requirement, a lot of things. So whatever is applicable for the audit will be applicable over here. Okay. Any doubt till now? Then what we have discussed from clause 5 to 9, very important section.
Sir, no, not relating to this, sir. Where I can find that code of ethics, sir?
On website,
Okay.
on institute website. If you want to find code of ethics, then go to committees, non-standing, ethical standard board. There's a ethical standard board, and their publications. You will get this code of ethics.
Oh, okay, sir. Fine, sir.
Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Very important part that we discussed from 5 to 9. Each clause is relevant and separate. There is a distinction. There is a purpose why they are different. You may think they are same, and trust me, give a reading of these clauses, solve practical questions, and you will come to know that why they are different. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, we keep the session till here. In the next session, we will cover the rest of the clauses, which are few, like small ones, and then we will go for the council general guidelines and rest of the things. But plus, we will solve more questions in the next session. Okay. But important part, read what is we have discussed. Read, please. That is very, very important. Practice the questions. Then only you will be able to understand the topic in much more detail. Okay.
Sir, one more thing. Another committee. Which committee, sir? It is there. Code of ethics.
Ethical standard board. Non-standing.
Non-standing ethical.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay, guys. Also, do provide your feedback if you like these sessions, if you don't like these sections, whatever, your feedback is there, unfiltered, please provide it. That will be really important for us to understand what you need further and how we can improve these sessions. Okay, please, that feedback is really important for me, or for to understand whether you need something else in the session, I can bring it up. Okay. Okay,
Right,
then
sir.
if no further doubts, then thank you for participating in the session. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I found it, sir. Based on your guidance, there are 4 to 5 attachments are there. I will see it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes.